Here on Justice, we have long covered the vulnerability of America's power grid and the critical need to do everything possible to protect it. My next guest has tirelessly fought this mission as well and joins me now to discuss the latest threats and what can be done to finally secure the future of the grid. Tommy Waller, who is Vice President for Special Projects at the Center for Security Policy, who manages the Secure the Grid Coalition, but one who is also a U.S. Marine combat veteran with service in Afghanistan, Iraq, Africa, and Latin America. Tommy, thanks so much for being here, and thank you for your service. You know, this issue of the grid has long been one that has bothered me, and for a while it kind of went off the grid, so to speak. But the President Trump has recently, I believe in the past 6 months, issued an executive order about the grid. Can you tell us what that is?
Absolutely, Judge. And I appreciate you mentioning my service. I do want your viewers to understand, though, that nothing that I ever did in uniform or that I will ever do will pale in comparison to the service provided by those who keep the lights on in this country. You know just how important it is that our grid is protected. And that's what's so incredible about the leadership of President Trump. In 2 years, Judge, he accomplished more than any other president had in the 2 decades that EMP has been declassified. And what I'm talking about is electromagnetic pulse. As you know, it could be catastrophic to the nation's electric grid and many of our national infrastructures. And so the president issued an executive order in March that directed the federal government to take the threat seriously. And unfortunately, it's only as good as the execution of that order, Judge.
And, you know, I remember for years I followed this, and there were hearings on this and all kinds of lunacy. Nothing happens. We've really got a balkanized grid in this country where, you know, it's just a series of local power grids that are connected. Is the military still on the civilian grid?
Yes, ma'am. The military is just as dependent on the civilian grid as the rest of all of us civilians. And you know, the thing is that the president's executive order, it inspired people, including people in the military, to take this and run with it. In fact, there's an electromagnetic defense task force that was established in the U.S. Air Force by a 3-star general, Lieutenant General Stephen Quast, that looked at this threat and brought in military experts, government experts, civilian experts together to try to really actualize those things that the president directed in the executive order.
What does it mean?
But just like you've chronicled.
Yeah. Go ahead, Tommy.
Judge, what I was going to mention, you've chronicled in your book, and I appreciate you giving me a copy a couple days ago. I'm almost all the way through it. We could add an epilogue to this book, Judge, on the swamp that is out there right now trying to derail the president's intent for EMP protection. Let me read from just a legal docket presented to the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission from one of the electric utility lobby organizations, ELCON. Energy and security staff at the Energy Department in Capitol Hill routinely downplay or dismiss EMP concerns in private, yet the public call to address the issue remains. And so the president knows that the public is aware of this. Anyone who can study the threat just for a little while realizes how important it is. What
can my viewers do, Tommy?
The first thing is to get smart about it and to support anyone who's taken it seriously. Our website, securethegrid.com, gives them an opportunity to learn about it. But in particular, right now at this very moment, they should realize that there is a swamp when it comes to this issue. That 3-star general that I just told you about, do you know that he's being forced to retire? On this Sunday, tomorrow, he'll be out of uniform. And that sends an incredible message to those folks in government that are trying to do the right thing, to take action on the things that the president thinks are important, like protecting our national infrastructure from EMP. So I would just ask your viewers to pray for General Quast and for all of those that are in the government, great civil servants and patriots that are doing what they can to protect our nation against this very, very serious threat.
And, you know, you've got that serious threat, and then you've got it on the personal level as well. Look, we're dealing with players like North Korea, China, Russia. I mean, you got this electromagnetic pulse. I mean, you know, as I recall from a few years ago, they had the ability to take down with some kind of a nuclear projectile one of the electromagnetic pulse. I'm not quite sure if I've got the lingo right. And nothing has been done, has it?
Very little until President Trump has come along. And there are utilities in this country that are taking it seriously, and they're working hard. But as an industry, the industry hasn't taken it as seriously as they should. And the thing I'll mention, Judge, when anyone studies this topic, you know, it engenders fear, unfortunately. It makes people think, you know, I want to run to the frontier.
Right.
Our founders had an infinite frontier to run to, and they didn't. They turned and they fought tyranny. And so what we need to do as a nation right now, and this is bipartisan, it affects everyone, we need to fight the tyranny of inaction and secure this grid. And we need to applaud the president by taking the first steps to do it with his executive order.
Tommy Waller, thanks so much for being with us tonight. We appreciate it. We'll have you back.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, and we'll be right back.